Good morning, everyone. Dan Bates, President and CEO, Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce. And we're getting a little bit of a late start today for some technical issues. So if you join in a minute or two and think you're late, you're really not. We're just getting started. So anyway, today we're going to have Tracy Shepherd from Butler County Board of Developmental Disabilities. Sorry, I knew I would screw that up, Tracy.
Okay.
Who's going to be a really great presentation about inclusiveness in the workplace. So I think it's going to be a great topic, and so stay tuned. We are on Zoom, and our larger audience is often on Facebook Live. So if you're on Facebook Live, feel free to type your questions in, and Tiffany will get those answered by the speaker. Those of you who are on Zoom, I'm sure Tracy won't mind if you interrupt her during her presentation if you have questions or need clarification on something. So, you know who I am, and we're going to find out who you all are. And then, Jason, I think you're going to do the self-introductions.
Sure thing. All right, Tiffany, you want to introduce yourself?
I am Tiffany Grubb, Director of Marketing at the Greater Hamilton Chamber.
Deanna, would you like to introduce yourself?
Dee Cosina with ADG Painting Services.
Thank you for being here. I'm Jason Michael Miller with the Greater Hamilton Chamber. And Tracy, would you like to introduce yourself and get started?
Sure. My name is Tracy Shepherd. I'm with Butler County Board of Developmental Disabilities. I've been with the county board about 24 years. So the folks that we serve is really a passion for me. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and see if that works for you guys. Okay. Let me hold on a second. Let me get this together. Okay. Can you guys see the presentation all right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I just wanted to talk to everyone briefly about some work incentives for employers and benefits when it comes to hiring employees with disabilities. So that's what we're going to get started today. As an introduction, I just want you to know that the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities, as as a philosophy, we have an employment first vision, which means that all people that have disabilities, we presume that they're capable of working, that they add value to the workplace. And if people want to be employed, they should receive every opportunity that they can in order to obtain and maintain employment. So with that being said, I did want to then move into one of the state agencies that we work closely with at the county board. It's called Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities. That's our state vocational rehabilitation agency. And what they do is they assist people either with disabilities, any barrier that they have. It could be someone maybe who has a felony record and they're having a hard time getting a job, but anyone that's facing some type of barrier to employment, this agency, state agency, can assist with overcoming those barriers. And their primaries, the one thing they like to do is they try to remove those barriers, they create access, and for those employers that want to work with folks that receive this vocational rehab services, they offer some tax incentives. They also offer credits and deductions and things like that for businesses so that it makes hiring, if someone is kind of, not really sure if they want to hire someone, it just kind of gives them more of an incentive to give somebody a chance. And that's really all that we're asking for is, how can we get rid of those barriers and also assist employers with making that next step and getting folks into the community and employed. Just as a side note that, employing people in the community does add value to the overall community with like tax-based things. Then you also have people who have more buying power and things like that, just due to the fact that they have an income that they're able to utilize. So some of the employer incentives when you hire someone that works through the vocational rehab agency, there is a work opportunity tax credit, and that's for any employer who will hire a qualified individual. They can get up to about $2,400 per employee that's hired. And that's just, all of these are applications that you have to fill out. Again, I know it's a systems issue because these are a lot of times monies that are state, federal dollars that are available. So there is some paperwork involved when it comes to employers applying for these incentives. The next incentive is disabled access credit. So if you hire folks that are facing significant barriers, and let's say you need something like a sign language interpreter, or you need accessible materials for that person on the job, you can get up to $5,000 to help offset those expenditures that you incur in order for that individual to be successful on the job site. So that's another one that's someone that is available to businesses. The architectural barrier removal tax deduction, it's it's up to $15,000 a year for qualified expenses. This could be something like if you needed to widen a doorway, anything that would make the environment accessible to someone. So that would just be another option if you needed to have the environment adapted for someone to be able to be successful in their job. You can get that tax deduction. It could be even like ramps, things like that. If it's not already ADA compliant, then that could be an option too to help with that. The last incentive that when you're working with someone from the VOC rehab is it's called Bonds for Jobs. So it's a federal bonding program. So it'll help mitigate risks for hiring employees that may have some challenging backgrounds. It offers like up to $5,000 of a bond. And they'll do it for each employee that's potentially what's considered an at-risk. It's a 6-month coverage, and it does protect against losses due to like fraudulent or dishonest acts. So it's no cost to the employer and it's no cost to the employee. It is just a bonded situation that they'll help with coverage for that. Locally, at a local level, we also have what's called Ohio Means Jobs. This is our local resource in Butler County for folks that are looking for employment. It also gives employers an opportunity to connect with them. Ohio Means Jobs can help do job searches for you. They can put information out. This is just to the general public as well. So this is a really good resource for all businesses that are looking to hire specific types of skill sets, things like that. They also offer opportunities where they do job fairs. So if you're a business that you're interested in seeing a number of people at one given time, I would also look into potentially looking at the job fairs that they put on and invite employers to. One of the things that Ohio Means Jobs it will offer, it's called On-the-Job Training Program, and it's called the OJT, but it's kind of funny. They have a you hire, you train, we pay. So if you recruit someone and you hire new employers that have the aptitude, they have the skill set for the role, and they just need some specific training, Ohio Means Jobs will assist with getting you connected to, they'll pay up to like half of the wages for that person during that training period. So it just kind of offsets some of those initial costs with onboarding people, because we know that onboarding costs can be really expensive, especially if someone doesn't work out. So it helps to just kind of lessen that risk for businesses too. And I think one of the other benefits that we don't talk about a whole lot is the fact that, the folks that you hire that may have either intellectual or developmental disabilities, or these are second chance folks that are coming back into the workforce, it does help businesses increase their productivity. It does have an impact on the other coworkers there. So that's kind of a really like nice byproduct too of when you hire folks that have developmental disabilities. So that's the next thing we're going to just really talk about too, is how does it impact the workplace? So there's some financial and business benefits. So we see increased revenue and profit, and that companies that have a strong disability inclusion practice generate a higher revenue. They net more income. They double the economic profit that's compared to less inclusive counterparts. And these are all like, I'm not making this information up, people. I've done research. Like this is from Forbes. This is information that there's studies that's been conducted and things like that. Inclusive companies also show a 25% greater productivity. It's measured by that employee revenue per employee, and then also when it's compared to industry peers. And then it enhances your brand reputation and customer base. What we found a lot, I've worked with folks here locally with finding employment and things like that. And what we have found is when you make that connection with companies that are local and people talk about what a great experience they've had at that business and the people that they're hiring, it just makes other folks more interested and frequently leading that business and giving that business some of their money. So just to kind of keep that in mind too, that it does have an impact like on the larger community as well when you're hiring folks that have disabilities. Another impact it has on the workplace is just your workplace culture and the employee benefits. We've found that there's an increase in morale and engagement, showing that, employees without disabilities, when they're engaging with folks with disabilities, they form a camaraderie and they have a bond and they see that, there is value. There's a value add of having that person there. And sometimes we see that, folks that have been there for a while will take that person maybe under their wing a little bit and help them in, as their daily routine and be that natural support on the job for them. We've also seen reduced absenteeism and attrition. So people tend to stay longer. Folks with developmental disabilities, intellectual disabilities are very loyal and they like their jobs. They want to be there. They want to come to work every day. They want to make a difference. And then it also, again, just increases that team cohesion and it inspires their peers to also want to come together and just do a better job and be there to support that person that's, they see them showing up to work every day, working their hardest. And it incentivizes other folks to step up their game a little bit and work next to them and beside them and increase their productivity as well. And then just some other considerations to think about is, when you look at just diverse teams, it also challenges those teams to come up with ways to better support someone. So it's creating like new ideas and new ways to think about how can we do our job? How can we do it better? What is the most efficient way to do it? And also including folks with disabilities in that. Even though we have some really great incentives and we have great folks out doing this work, we still see folks that have barriers to employment. Just some of that like stereotypical things like they're not going to be able to work to standards or the productivity isn't going to be as great. Given an opportunity and the proper training and the setting, I think you'd really be surprised by some of the folks that we've assisted with getting jobs in the community. We have folks that do like warehouse work and they drive forklifts and they have some very specific jobs. And then we have other folks that, just want to show up every day and just do very repetitive work. And those folks, they love their job. They come to work every day, ready to work and continue to do their job. The other thing just to think about as a company is your policies. And do you have hiring policies that really are inclusive and include people of all backgrounds, not just, folks with disabilities, but even if it's someone who may have a, a felony on their record or something like that, just a second chance opportunity to give people a chance to get back into the workforce. And just because I'm kind of a nerd and I love to read things, like there is this study by Harvard Business Review that talks about, the advantages to businesses and organizations and how it can improve businesses when you hire folks with disabilities. And this is just a quick summary, but the four things that they found is that disabilities often confer unique talents and make people better at particular jobs. So, for instance, if you have I worked with an individual that has autism and his social skills are not great, but he can do math. He got a job working at Cincinnati Financial, and he was taking college classes. I couldn't even understand the title of the courses that he was taking, but he was amazing. So depending on what disability someone has, it can really hone and focus their skill set. So it's just something to think about. The presence of employees with disabilities, they elevate your culture again of the entire organization, just making it collaborative, boosting productivity. A reputation for inclusiveness enhances a firm's value or a business's value and proposition with customers, they're more willing to have those long-term relationships with businesses. And then the last thing is just being recognized as socially responsible also gives, a business some of that capital and some of that just credit and with the regular population. So just to give you that, there is a link for this if you really want to read the entire thing. It's pretty good. So these are some resources that has all the details and information when it comes to the incentives, Ohio Means Jobs, the opportunities for Ohioans with disabilities, getting connected with them as well. There are some things from Department of Labor that are incentives for businesses. So I would just encourage you to, check that out. I can send this presentation. It can be sent out to everyone, and those links are embedded. Just click on those titles and it would take you right to those links. And I think I'm just going to stop sharing now. That's the general information that I have, but I'm open to questions or things like that if anyone has any specific questions.
I have a question, Tracy.
Yeah,
You
Dan.
referred to people, second chance workers,
Yeah.
reentry citizens type of thing a few
Mhm.
times. So my question is, do you only work with them if they have a disability, or is that considered a disability because they're coming out of incarceration?
Well, when someone comes out of incarceration, they can connect with the state vocational rehabilitation agency that Ohioans Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities.
Mhm.
They work with they work with anyone that has a barrier to employment. So it could be like, let's say, for instance, maybe I had a stroke and I wasn't able to do my current job any longer. I could go to them. They could help me with some rehab stuff, maybe learning some new skill sets in order to be employed back into the community. So it's the same thing with someone maybe who's coming out of prison who may have some skill sets. They're just looking for a connection to continue and make and get back into the workforce now that they've been released. So, and there are some very specific businesses in Butler County that will really entertain and look at folks that have those felony records, which I think is a great opportunity. They also work with folks with disabilities, so anyone that has a barrier to employment.
Cool. I wasn't aware of that. So I have another question connected to that, which
Mhm.
I mean to put you on the spot because you may not know this. But is there any do you have any data on, the people coming out of incarceration, how many of them have actually some undiagnosed, whether it's, autism or Asperger's or, learning disability or, whatever,
Hmm.
that, is kind of got them incarcerated in the first place because it was not diagnosed or not understood or not treated.
I I don't have that data. I mean, I could certainly research it and see if I can find some information for you. But I would say that you know, as a generality, people who have impulse control disorders or things like that, or processing disorders,
Mhm.
um, may have a propensity for like you might find later that after something's happened, and you go back in hindsight of, oh yeah, maybe if we caught this earlier, we could have really worked through some of these things with folks. But I don't have any hard data to show,
Okay.
a
Well,
correlation.
I didn't
Yeah,
really
with
expect you
that.
to. I know it was kind of
Yeah,
a out there question, but
yeah,
it would be just interesting to think about.
yeah, for sure.
And Tracy, is there a list that exists of companies that I don't know if the word is discriminate against someone that just got out of incarceration, but is there a list of companies that are quick to hire someone that's reentry?
Yeah, I mean, I could get that list together. There are some very specific companies here in Butler County that are open to hiring people regardless of what their record is. I mean, again, I think some of these incentives help too to help mitigate that potential risk or things like that. So, and that might be a reason that they are, so open, is because they do have these incentives that they can access and help
I
bridge
think
that
I
gap.
think that's an important part. I mean, we have chamber
Hmm.
members who I know are willing to hire people,
Yeah.
coming out of incarceration. The big issue that employers are always looking for is what kind of support comes with that.
Yeah, I can
We
get
know
some
without
more.
the support, it's destined to be a failure. So, um, and that's the big thing. And I've heard that from employers before. So I think it's getting the information out ongoing, that the support is there, because that's their concern, that they're going to have someone on staff that has issues that they don't know how to deal
Right.
with.
And I can get some more information. Even I can go to the Voc Rehab. I can go to OOD and I can talk to them and see if they have specific lists of employers that they've worked with here. I know that we have, I mean, we do have someone in-house that does employment navigation for our folks that has some really good connections with different employers throughout the community as well. So I can get with both of them and see what kind of list, and I can send that over to you guys to have for your employers.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Gina
Hi.
from Land of Illusion. Come on out, haunt season is open. But we love to, of course, support our employees, and I wondered what age range these credits apply, and would it apply to graduating seniors?
I don't believe there's an age limit on these. I think it's just anyone who's they're looking at, okay, I'm taking it back, Gina. I'm going to eat my words. They're looking at what would be considered adults, right? 18 and over is
Okay.
what you're looking at. Now, the Voc Rehab they do have incentives and things like that for kids that are in school and they want to gain work experiences and things like that. So one of the things that they could do too is they offer what's called job coaches. So they could send someone alongside to help someone learn on the job as well. So that's another incentive. If someone's working through the Voc Rehab agency, they can find a provider that will come out and work alongside that person to help them learn those job tasks.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yep. So you might get two for the price of one, two ghouls for
Right.
the price of one.
I like it. Thank you. Thanks for doing this today.
Sure. Yeah.
Tracy, what would you say are some immediate things that companies can do right now to make their workplace more inclusive and accessible just right off the bat?
I would say anytime you have a job opening, I know one of the things that I've done in working with Jason at the Hamilton Chamber is when we have folks here that say, hey, I'm looking for this type of job. One thing, we had someone that wanted to work in a bakery, and I reached out to Jason and I said, hey, do you have a list of folks that, are local bakers or things like that we could just reach out to see if that would be an option? And so I was able to get a really good list from Jason of potential employers. Now, it doesn't mean it's always going to work out, but I think if there was some way that we could get notification, or if there was a way of entry level positions are always great for the folks we serve, learning just general skills and tasks as they grow in the business. So anything that's high turnover, anything that you're finding is entry level, those types of positions, if we're made aware, sometimes we have folks that are always looking for jobs that we can say, oh yeah, I know somebody that would really be interested. Or we could also connect that job lead to someone, like we have OOD counselors that we work with all the time from the Voc Rehab agency. We could pass those along to them, and that's even a wider selection pool too.
And thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question. When it comes to working independently, if they just thinking about on the cleaning side of, we have a cleaning business too, and being alone, because those types of jobs are it's usually you're there individually. And I was just wondering if there's barriers there on that. Or
I think
maybe
that
some smaller offices or.
Yeah, it really depends on the person that's working. And so when we're looking at the job, like what we would do is we would take the job description, what are the expectations, what are the standards where you want someone to work to, and then we would want to find a person that could grow to those standards. They might need a job coach there temporarily, maybe for a month, and again, a job coach is not something that an employer pays for. That's paid for through like the Voc Rehab agency. So they would have that job coach work alongside of them. They could give you reports on how they're doing, different things like that. I'm sure whoever they're cleaning for would also give you feedback on the job that they're doing. And they would come up with what they would say, what's called like a fading program, where that job coach would fade out as that person gains their skills to be more independent. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. And if, I
Okay.
mean, first, it would be something really that I would, something really specific
Mm-hmm.
and it could be trained easily. So, um,
Yeah. And we
then
have,
on, so go ahead, sorry.
oh, sorry, I mean, we do have folks that can, like if they had to mix type, cleaners or different things like that, mop buckets, what have you, to do some cleaning, or, I mean, we can certainly train folks to do that in measurements. And the other thing that's really nice is getting some things that are adaptable to that person. So maybe they can't really read numbers, but if we drew a line around like a measuring cup or something, fill it to the blue line, right? Like things that just make the job easier for that person to understand. So we can do things like that too with that training.
Okay.
Tracy, I also want to send an affirmation to you. This was very clear and precise and easy to digest, I think, in a way that allows companies to know like their options, and how to make their place more inclusive and accessible. So this is awesome. And do you mind to send me that after the presentation so I can disperse it?
Yeah, I also have I have another document that I'll email to you too that has the opportunities for homes with disabilities. It talks more about the incentives and stuff, so we can attach that as well.
And do you guys work with Project Life and Project Search?
We do have kids, they're all kids to me because I'm so old. We do have students that participate in Project Life and Project Search, and that if you're not aware, that program is through Butler Tech, and it's for kids that have gone through school and they've received their diploma and they just need some more job training skills. So they find local businesses in the community that will host the students so that they can come and work and learn job skills and do certain things on that on the job in these businesses. I mean, for free essentially. I mean, they don't get paid, but it's just they get paid in the skill set that they're learning. So there's places, there's restaurants, there's I think like Tractor Supply has kids out there. There's different hospitals. So Miami University has some different sites on in Oxford where they place kids to work and gain those skills. And I've had kids, I say kids, that's so horrible. These students, I love them. They're so cute. But these students who at Miami University specifically can train and get their safe serve certification so that they can work at any restaurant and they understand things like that. So yeah, Project Life and Search is a really great opportunity and program. So that would be if you know a student that's in school, it's all referral based from the school system to Butler Tech.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
I wanted to give you guys a little bit more time. Does anyone have any more questions? Not seeing anything online right now. Tracy, thank you so much for doing this. I wanted to
Yeah.
let everyone know that we do have some exciting events coming up with the Chamber of Commerce. So September 16th, we are doing our networking leads. That's going to be at Butler Tech at their Cafe Lee student-ran restaurant. We also have a Mix It Up coming up, and that's going to be at Playground Equipment Services on September 18th. Then we have a coffee and conversation with Kirsch CPA, how the big beautiful bill impacts your business taxes. And then October, we have the state of the city, and all of these are on our website, hamilton-ohio.com. So you can register for any of these events and you'll have more information to stay connected. So everyone, thank you so much for joining
Hold
us
on,
today.
hold on. I have a request of Tracy.
Oh,
Tracy, you had some really great information here that I think you could take your presentation and just put into some very brief like updates or bullet points or whatever that we could put in our blog and put on our e-newsletter. And so I think that this would be really, it's the type of things that the resources are there and people hear it over and over and over, but it doesn't really register with them. So if you could put this into a couple brief articles and send
mhm.
to Tiffany, we could put it in the e-newsletter. I think that even if it's just bullet points, I
Okay.
think getting straight to the point would be really great awareness for our members. So thank you for that. Sorry, Jason.
That's okay. That was a really, really good idea, Dan. Yes, and keep in mind, if anyone has an idea of something that you can help educate our business community or Butler County community, please send some blog ideas to Tiffany. We'd be happy to put that in our newsletter. So Dan, thank you so much for that. Again, check out hamilton-ohio.com for more information. If you would like to speak at a coffee and conversation and you have a topic you would like to educate our community, please let us know. We are booking through January right now. So everyone have a great day. Thanks so much for joining us. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.